All right, so Josh Azudu out of North Carolina. Player we liked, obviously. History of playing multiple spots on the offensive line. He's got guard, tackle, flex. Again, we'll bring him in. I'm not going to say exactly where we're going to start him, but we like the versatility that he can play guard, he can play tackle, compete to start probably inside, with outside flex. And then Cordale Flott is a guy we liked out of LSU, athletic kid, versatility again, play inside, outside. Both kids we spent a lot of time with throughout the spring, and, we're happy to have them.
How do you view your cornerback position right now? Do you think Aaron Robinson's a guy who can play, 80 snaps a game, 60 snaps a game outside? Is he at that level?
We're excited about him. Just getting to know him, just getting to see him move around the last couple of weeks, and I know that position group, the coaching staff's back, so we're excited about him. I'm not going to make any predictions or anything in terms of play time or any of that. We still got a long way to go, but yeah, he's definitely going to be competing for a starting job.
Josh, in games would switch spots.
Yeah.
Drive.
Yeah, it was impressive. Impressive.
How rare is that? Does that just jump off when you see that?
Yeah, it's rare, and I was fortunate enough to see him play live twice this year, Virginia Tech and Pittsburgh, and he's a big man, and it's impressive that you could play multiple spots, not only on a week-to-week basis, but within a game, within drive. So yeah, it's very impressive, and he's an outstanding kid. You guys will like to get to know him.
Flott, he's not the biggest guy. Do you see him as a guy who can play outside, or do you see him primarily as a guy who's better suited in the slot? Or
yeah, I think position one, like ideally he's inside, but he can play inside and outside. I mean, he's got height and he does have length. And again, the kid's 20 years old. I believe he turns 21 in August or September. I think it's August. So still young, still developing. 3-year guy at LSU that played in a really talented backfield and a good conference. So we're excited. He's got really good movement skills. To play inside, but I do the size and length. I think he can play outside as well.
Joe, it seems like you guys were kind of prepared for every possible situation. Did you see the quarterbacks slipping like they have so far? Like, I think there was one in the first 73 picks, and how has that affected the draft for teams like you who aren't picking a quarterback and guys are maybe going higher than you expected?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. That there's a couple guys that are still on the board. At least they are. When I walk down here. So yeah, with all the pre-draft chatter and stuff, I assumed a couple of those guys would already be gone.
So does that, I guess, push guys that you had lower? Does that push them up?
Guys we had lower push up. Not really. Yeah, the quarterback position, again, the amount of quarterbacks that are taken, it's not like a different position group where there's high volume. So yeah, I wouldn't say that's the case there.
Was there a point today where you started to maybe consider that because, hey, you didn't expect these guys to fall to this point?
Yeah, we discussed every position. Again, I think up top, you weren't really thinking about it again, but if you follow your board, and we did do work on all position groups, so, it came up in discussions, as is every position does. But again, we followed our board, and, we typically go with, the guys that are on the same line at that value.
Does it bother you, though, when you're talking about those kind of guys that you guys maybe personally didn't see a lot of them throw?
Yeah, no, we saw them all throw. We were at the pro days. I saw every quarterback play live this year. Yeah, so we did our homework.
You have 5 picks left tomorrow, right? Is that right? 6?
2 4s, 3 5s, and a 6.
What do you want to accomplish tomorrow? You traded back and you picked up those pieces. What do you want to get out of tomorrow?
Yeah, continue to build depth. Depth is important. Whether it's backup role, compete for a starting role, or special teams. Fourth down is going to be important to us as well. So, just continue to build depth and competition.
How realistic is it? I don't know, that you make all 6 of those picks, or do you feel like you have the ammo that you could trade up now and maybe go get somebody?
Yeah, we could do either or. Again, it's draft picks are currency. It allows you to move up, down, whatever you may do into next year. If something happens. So. It just gives you flexibility throughout the draft. So, I can't really predict it right now, but there are still guys on the board that we like.
Joe, are you surprised a market for James Bradbury hasn't materialized maybe as much as you might have expected a couple months ago?
No, I mean, we've had conversations about James. Teams have called. He's still a good player and a good person. So, the market is what it is.
Have you received more interest during the draft?
No.
We didn't really ask you directly about Daniel's option. I think we asked like how it affected the draft. Like, why didn't you exercise it? I mean, it's obvious, but
It was the best decision for the Giants. After our conversations, that was what we came up with for the best decision for us right now.
Brian, will you look, assess, after today and tomorrow morning and say, all right, we kind of need these positions, you know what I mean? Maybe not these players, but can we kind of look a little bit about these positions that we didn't address, you know what I mean, with these 6 picks?
Yeah, we have conversations, after every day of the draft relative to where we've set the board and needs. And if those two match, that's a great thing. We're going to try to acquire as many good players as we can to try to make us competitive as we can.
Ryan, how do you see the tight end role in your offense?
It just depends.
Depends on what, player?
It depends on who we have. Yeah. So again, there was times last year we played with 5 receivers. There's been times where we've played with 3 tight ends, sometimes 4 tight ends. I think when you put together an offense, try to build it around the strengths of the players that you have. And if that's a bunch of receivers, it's a bunch of receivers. If it's 1 tight end, it's 1 tight end. There was games last year we went to the game with 1 tight end, 1 active tight end. I think probably the last 5 or 6 weeks of the season. So based on who we have, and look, there's a long time to build our roster too. It's not just the draft. We have a while here. There's a lot of different things that can happen.
Joe, what do you look for in terms of traits out of a linebacker?
Traits out of a linebacker?
Yeah.
Outside or inside?
Inside.
Inside, instincts, athleticism, range, speed. Again, leadership, communication.
Anything else? Nakobe Dean is a guy, an inside linebacker. A lot of people expected to be taken early in this draft. Did you guys consider him? There's been talks about him being flagged by a bunch of teams. And how did you
There's
guys
a
handle
reason
that?
he's dropping. I don't know what's all out there, what you have, but we can't really, talk much about that. But yeah, there's a reason he's fallen, I think, and he's a great kid. He had a great career, and I'm sure he'll go shortly.